William holds the reins. The rogue Harry regrets wanting to return to the UK in vain. Hello, and a very warm welcome to our LVT News YouTube channel. William exhibited so many acts of kindness and compassion towards his little brother, Harry. And what did Harry and Meghan do while they threw all of those acts of kindness and compassion right back in his face? He has had to deal with so many insults and attacks coming from his own brother and his brother's evil wife. And that's precisely why these reports that Harry is wanting to come back to the UK after divorcing Meghan are so surprising for about 35 years. William was such an important support system for Harry. He really had his back. And Harry laughed out against his older brother and his brother's family in a very public way. Harry seems convinced that he really is such a special boy. He is so important. He is incredibly entitled. There is no way that he would be okay with laying low and being out of sight in the UK while his brother is king. But at the same time, it is impossible for him to rejoin the working royals and be on Buckingham Palace balcony again. I mean, can you imagine? Those days are long gone. It looks like Harry is doomed to spend the rest of his life in the US dreaming about what might have been if only other people had not been in the way. Well, I just hope that his victimhood is enough to keep him busy and warm at night until the very end of. I think that if William had his way, Harry would have been exiled a long time ago. But Charles is never going to do that. He's too guilt-ridden. He is holding on to this idea that Harry's going to somehow come back as a prodigal son and that he is going to once again be adored by all the people because he is the wise and loving king who waited so patiently with open arms for. Well, Charles, I'm afraid that is never going to happen, even though I like Charles. I think that he has many good characteristics. I have to admit that emotionally he can be quite weak. After all, he said in the past that he doesn't like conflict and that he doesn't want to get into a battle with Harry. Well, I mean, that's very selfish on his part because he is only thinking about what is best for himself. He's not thinking about Harry. He just wants to play being king instead of being a responsible father and holding his son accountable for his awful behavior. That is at the end of the day, one of the most important parts of parenting. But William has always seen the truth when it comes to Harry. His temperament is the complete opposite of his father. He is incredibly direct. He wants to face things head-on. And unlike both the late Queen and now Charles, he doesn't believe in hiding things and covering stuff up. He wants the truth to come out and he is not going to allow himself to be manipulated by Harry. But Charles, I'm afraid, is holding him back right now. So it looks like his hands are truly tied until he becomes king or something snaps. Charles, are this fantasy land that Hess living in now. Now it seems like long life runs in the family. So unless Charles dies at a premature age, and that is not unbelievable. If Harry keeps on bashing his father and causing him so much pain like he did the late Queen, but it still could be about 20 years or even more before William finally becomes king. Now, I think Charles is doing the right thing by ignoring the gruesome to some. He is not giving in to their victim narrative. He's not taking the titles away. Instead, it looks like maybe he's quietly trying to ice them out. Now the coronation is finished and so he doesn't have to worry about that. I think Charles has also decided to not invite them to any more royal events. And of course, he refused to renew the lease on Frogmore. They are gone. And I hope there's not going to be any more drama. I hope the king can have a chance to get on with everyday business. Even so, it's obvious that the king is really stressed out by this whole situation. Honestly, I'm not sure that he has the emotional strength to deal with Harry's emotional and mental illness. So I don't think he's going to last as long as his mother did. He might end up succumbing to the stress of all this and pass away earlier than we would like. I mean, Harry did cause the Queen a lot of grief and pain in her last years. I'm afraid the king might be the king in name only, with William taking over most of the duties and decision-making behind the scenes. I think actually there's a good chance he's already. And if Camilla passes away before he dies, I don't think Charles is going to be able to handle that. He has already told his mother in the past that he could not live without her by his side because she is his support system. She is his rock. She is where he gets his strength from. And if William does become king sooner than we expect, he's not going to pander to Harry's little fits or his woe-is-me stories. He's going to set him straight immediately. He's going to force Harry to face the consequences for his behavior. And it looks like Charles is not going to be strong enough to do that. And if Harry and Meghan are somehow still married, when William becomes king, I am sure they're going to be exiled. William is not going to want to have anything to do with the evil Meghan Markle. He's not going to speak with her and he's not going to accept any attempts from her to communicate with him. If this were way back when, maybe in the 1600s or something, he would have locked Meghan away in the tower. We would never hear from her again. But of course, this is the 21st century. And so it's not like he can do that. From what I hear, the tower is already filled with respectable residents and William is not going to want to kick them out. Charles apparently is trying to do that with his brother Andrew, but I don't know if it's going to work. I think William would find a respectable place where Harry to live. He'd probably go back to Nottingham Cottage instead of Frogmore. I mean, he and Meghan, after all, foolishly spent $2 million of taxpayers' money renovating the place. And then they left immediately. And I think William would insist on those invisible children having a DNA test. And if it was discovered that, in fact, they came from surrogates